One. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a professionally unprofessional podcast. I'm Gavin Axton, joined once again by my good friends Reese in the middle and Elliot on the right.
Hello, everyone.
I don't have a joke today. Hi.
We record. We have to record this. As they've seen the title. We're talking about the free games that released on March 22nd. We each really took on one of them.
Yeah.
But I did actually play all three of them just for the purpose of this podcast. And of course, we'll get onto that subject. The games, obviously, we're talking about are Dragon's Dogma 2, Princess Peach Showtime, and Rise of the Ronin. So we'll kick, and we're going to go in Metacritic order. So we'll go with what scored the best on Metacritic. So we'll start with Dragon's Dogma 2. Highly anticipated RPG from Capcom. Reese, you've played the PS5 version.
Yes, I did.
I played the Xbox Series X version. Elliot, I don't believe you played this.
No, I played the non-existent version.
Did you play the original Dragon's Dogma, Elliot?
No.
See, that's the thing.
I knew about it. I never played any of the Dragon's Dogma games, though.
I even though it was on Steam, I was so busy with FF7 Rebirth, I didn't have time to play the first one in prep for this. I should also say, Reese has finished the game.
Yep.
I have not. I've not played that much of it at all, so I might take any opinion I have with a pinch of salt.
Which is why I'm currently playing Senua's Sacrifice in preparation for the second Hellblade.
And we're going to be talking about Hellblade 2 later in this podcast, actually.
Yay!
So shall I ask you? I'll ask you, Reese. I read your review of it now, which is on Axia's website. You did not give this a favourable score whatsoever. So you are one of the lowest review scores I've seen for this game.
Yeah, I scored it a 5.3, so it's just above average in my review score.
Yeah, I should explain. Reese is not one of those reviewers who gives 7 out of 10s for average games.
Yeah.
I would say I agree. I think it's just above average. I do not understand why journalists were saying that went to the preview events were saying this is a Game of the Year contender.
I mean, looking at user score on Metacritic, is currently on a 6.3.
So yeah,
there's a lot of negative reviews on it from what it seems.
And that's for the PlayStation 5 version, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a lot of people...
I just gotta check on all platforms.
Now I should stress, a lot of people are going to say we should have played the PC version because it's got the uncapped frame rate on PC. But Reese doesn't have access to a PC. And
or at least no one good enough to play it at max settings, which is desperately needed.
I did, but
I checked. It's a 6.3 on all platforms for user score.
Okay, that's good. I will actually stress this one. I do have a PC that could do it, but I chose not to for one simple word: de novo.
Yeah.
If a PC's game's got de novo on it, I am going nowhere near it until that shit's gone. No matter what they say, it is affecting the frame rate of their games.
It is a form of commercial virus.
Essentially,
designed to hit your system.
It's a legal virus. I do not believe Steam has constantly agreed to have a legal virus essentially on half of their games. So do you mind if I ask Reese, what is it you didn't like about? What did you like? Well, let's start with what you like. Let's be positive about Dragon's Dogma 2. What are the good things about Dragon's Dogma 2?
Well, I really enjoyed the new vocations in this game, which have made a return.
Which one did you go for?
I basically just did the melee ones. I was a fighter, then warrior, then mystic spear hand.
Yeah, I kind of went down that route. I was a fighter to begin with. I didn't actually get to the stage where they went up.
Yeah.
Can I just say this? Even though we played this on the 30 FPS consoles, this game looks terrible. This game runs terrible on consoles.
Yeah. The only good part graphically is just the lighting system.
The lighting's quite good, yeah. And there's that amazing moment when you begin the game and you're riding that eagle, and it shows you the whole open world in like one shot. But anything else you think that's good about the game?
Well, all the side quests are voice acted, which is quite unusual for an RPG.
That is strange.
So that's
Yeah,
supposed to be
I'm
very
looking at the graphics too. It reminds me of Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah.
Like it's just a slightly more cleaned up Dragon Age Origins.
And I'll be very interested.
That's not a compliment.
And I will be very interested to see what BioWare's new Dragon Age game looks like when that finally comes to market.
Yeah.
Compared to this, I mean, I will say, it's also not a pretty open world in my opinion. It feels like it feels quite a bland looking open world.
Yeah, it's extremely generic. There's nothing really unique about it.
Well, it's interesting because Rise of the Ronin, which we're going to come to in a minute, that game's open world. I think it does resemble Ghost of Tsushima quite a bit, but it doesn't feel as generic because there hasn't been as many open world games made in that settings, for example.
Yeah. When you take a look at like Japanese games, they're mostly based in around the Edo period. This one's like in the 1800s.
Incidentally, Dragon's Dogma, I believe it was made by a Japanese team. I believe the Dragon's Dogma 2, I think.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh, was it Capcom? Was it Capcom Montreal who did it? Because I know I think they've got a studio in Montreal or Vancouver.
It just says Capcom Co. Limited.
Okay, so this was developed internally in Capcom.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll get to the big controversy in a minute. But what are the things you didn't like about Dragon's Dogma 2?
Just how short the main story was. Because if you only do the main story quest, you can do it in about 15 hours, the whole game.
I want to point out that's 10 hours longer than it took me to get to the credits of my game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how quickly you did it. Then I'm looking on how long to beat is like 27 and a half.
That's massively overinflated.
You got to remember those things change depending on user feedback, so that could change down the line and get a significant shrink. And also that's what about so it's a significantly short. It's a lot shorter of a game than I expected. Even 27 hours feels a bit short for what they were promising.
Yeah, it really does, because there's not even that many side quests in the whole game either, and most of the ones are like short 2-minute long ones. Most of the time in this game is spent walking from place to place.
What's I mean, what do you think is the I mean, that's another thing that comes to mind, the fast travel, because the fast travel's not something you can just do automatically. You have to get an item to do fast travel. How regularly available are they?
Well, you actually need 2 items for fast travel. So
2?
Yeah. So it's not just the fairy stones you need to engage fast travel. You need another resource called port crystals that act as the markers you jump to. And over the course of the story, you get 1 port crystal for the whole game. All the rest are locked behind side quests.
Or microtransactions, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess just to make a comparison, like Dark Souls, for example, you get an item that you do need an item to teleport you back to the bonfire, but when you get to the bonfire, you can teleport from basically anywhere from there. Yeah. Those are limited at first, but in Dark Souls 3 at least, but after beating Champion Gundy, I believe you could get an item that lets you go back to the bonfire whenever without having to use any resources.
Yeah, that's not the way here. So
yeah, that's shit.
Yeah, so without the port crystals, you need the fairy stones to engage the fast travel, and each one of them is 10 grand each. Of in-game goals.
So
and
how much?
To put in perspective, to buy a house, it's only 30 grand in the game. So that's how expensive these fairy stones are.
Did you make the anime amigos as your party for this?
No, I didn't. It's customized 1 pawn.
No, because I did the second one. I got the second person you customize.
No, I never had the option to customize other people's NPCs.
I customized the port. You customize the second port you get, the first port you get to. You customize your first character, and then you customize the first one you get in that area, and then you don't customize anyone else after that.
No.
Right. Good. So we couldn't make an Anime Amigos RPG again. Elliot is the only one who succeeded with Miiverse.
Damn it! Come on, let there be another game than Miitopia to do it. Damn it!
I liked I will be honest as well.
Actually, that's the question. How's the character creation in the game?
It's pretty good, actually.
All right, okay, that's good.
Yeah, I was able to make a character that looked like me quite well. And I've seen some quite interesting ones online, like someone made the Moogle and someone made Hideki Kamiya.
Yeah, it is quite in depth.
I will say, if I'm comparing it to to go to Rise of the Ronin, I think it's a little bit. I felt like there was definitely more options there than say Rise of the Ronin. I think Rise of the Ronin's character creation did feel a little limited.
Yeah, yeah, I will definitely give you that.
It's not bad by any means. I managed to create some good characters in it, but I would say that I thought between the two of them, I would say Dragon's Dogma had the better character creator.
Yeah.
I will say though, the game it really reminded me of the most though was it was kind of felt like it was trying to hybrid Elder Scrolls and Fable.
Yeah, I see that.
That's what when I was getting, and honestly, I'll be honest, Breeze. This bored me. This game kind of bored me.
Yeah, and it doesn't get much better until the end game.
But that's the thing that people say about Death Stranding. They keep saying, "Oh, keep at it because it gets good at the 20-hour mark." I'm like, I don't want to play something that bores me for 20 hours for it to get good at that point.
Whenever I think of that, I think of that one clip from an old completionist video where Alex is talking to Sora. Just goes, by the way, when are you finally gonna review Xenoblade X? I know it's a long game, but trust it gets really good after about 35 hours.
Reese, do you take that slander right there against Xenoblade X?
Oh yeah, because it's a great game that's now dead. Thanks, Nintendo.
We will get it back.
Thanks, Nintendo. You got rid of your one mech game.
Yep.
We'll get it back. Monolith Soft will want it back, I think.
Yeah.
I would say as well, I think Dragon's Dogma... Okay, let's go to the microtransactions. We've been tiptoeing around it. I didn't spend anything on this game.
Same. I didn't.
And that's weird because I have taken part in microtransactions of Capcom games in the past. Like I have purchased some of the in-game currency in Street Fighter 6 to get the Mega Man costumes or to get the Spy X Family stuff.
Please tell me you didn't do that for Devil May Cry 5.
No, I didn't do it on Devil May Cry 5.
Thank God.
Can I be honest? I actually, until you mentioned it, I completely forgot Devil May Cry 5 had microtransactions.
I think a lot of people do. Honestly, I forgot about it just now.
I did also. I bought one of the gun passes in Resident Evil 4's microtransactions. I bought that. Again, how many of you remember that Resident Evil 4 had microtransactions?
Yeah,
I think it's just the case because Capcom's microtransactions are so inconsequential.
They definitely. Reese, would you agree with this one? This game, they feel very inconsequential on this one, or do you think they do feel more consequential than those examples we've listed?
They do feel a lot more consequential, only because you can buy port crystals.
You think that's one where that's a little too egregious?
Yeah, because there's two capital cities in the game, Vernworth and Bac-Batal. There's one port crystal in Vernworth, Vermont, sorry, you can always ferry stone back to. There's not one in Bac-Batal. So you have to really run across the whole map to get back to our second capital, unless you port crystal.
And there was I think it was with one of the directors. I don't know exactly who said this, but they were on an interview and they said, if you want to use fast travel in open world, and that means we failed in creating an interesting world for level design. And I think that's a terrible cop out because I'll give you an example. I love the open world in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I still use the fucking fast travel to get nearer to the location I wanted to be at. It didn't take away from the exploration I was going to do when I was there.
Yeah.
So I will say as well, in terms of the microtransactions, I think we need to get one thing clear about microtransactions. They are here to stay. They are going to be in games no matter what the price. We are not, and I don't want to sound like a bootlicker for the industry, but we are not going to boycott our way out of them. We can.
Yeah, I do feel like the microtransactions in this game have been a bit overblown.
I will say though, the thing I do think Capcom failed to properly convey they were going to be there before launch, because I had no idea they were there until the night of release and the Steam reviews went out. And apparently a bunch of those, apparently a bunch of the reviewers who would get, when you get a review copy, that when you're proper journalists, unlike us, get a review copy, they get a thing that's called like a journalist guide, like a review guide. So it's like, this is a thing you need to be able to do. Apparently a bunch of them said they either didn't think it was there or they missed it. But they also said, a couple of them did actually say, we didn't actually read it.
Yeah, and quite a few other journalists said it was in there if you read the literature.
So it felt like it was all over the place, but it's more the point, did they have was there an obligation on those journalists' part to say this game is going to have microtransactions?
I think so, because it allows customers to be informed upon their purchases.
Yeah, I definitely think it should, but that's kind of a tough thing, though, because do you think they'll mention microtransactions in the reviews, for example?
I didn't see any in any of the reviews.
Because oftentimes, like, in the games, they don't tend to inform when there are microtransactions in the game.
I think you should... here's the thing. I would say you're not under an obligation if it's obvious this is a microtransaction-heavy game. So, like, I wasn't expecting anyone to talk about the microtransactions in any reviews or videos about... Honkai Star Rail. That's a gacha game. We know there's predatory shit in there. Same with Pokemon Unite. I'm not expecting anyone to talk about it there because that is just made to sell the microtransactions.
I'd say, this is my opinion, but I think you should say it should really be mentioned if the microtransactions are definite negative. So, like, if they are very egregious, and if, like, you pay for a game and they are very much, like, and while not required, they're definitely a massive benefit if you get them.
The one that's been the most, the one that to me is the most egregious and the most disappointing I've been in a microtransaction, in microtransactions in a game, is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel, because there was no need for it to be there. It was added in after the game got high sales and good review scores, and it actively made the game worse.
Yeah, if I remember, they did just sort of a rumor, but they did that to bypass a need to say on the box that there are going to be microtransactions in the game.
But online purchases now are required to inform people. So the box.
Yeah, I think it was at the time, but Activision did it to avoid that having to say that, which shit.
Yeah, but the point is, if you purchase,
it's really shit. Yeah,
it is shit. But the thing is, if you purchase a digital copy now, it will inform you that there's microtransactions in the game. They are required to do that.
As I said, I think it was more for physical box art.
How would you say? How would we say Dragon's Dogma's microtransactions and the lack of transparency over that is compared to, say, the example I gave of Crash Team Racing?
I wouldn't say it's as egregious, just because the microtransactions don't go as high as they do in Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money.
They are pretty bad for the port crystals.
How much
everything else is pretty much inconsequential. So how much microtransactions?
Yeah, because you can't because it's easy enough to redesign your character. But the weird thing, how much are the port crystals anyway in terms of real world money, pounds sterling?
I think it was $250 or something.
So it's not a huge amount of money you're spending.
Yeah, but it definitely does feel like Capcom took them out of the game to put them in the store.
I think it can. I think it is, but also that can build up. Considering how important from what I can gather, the port crystals are. Yeah, it can definitely build up over time.
Well, the weird thing is, there's a lot of the thing is, for all the talk we've had of the microtransactions, we haven't been talking about the DRM in this game, and the fact of the matter is, you don't have access to your avatar on your hard drive. It's kept on Capcom's server.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're talking so much about the microtransactions, we're missing this hugely anti-consumer thing.
It's also one thing we haven't mentioned yet, which I think is really shit. One save slot.
Yeah, one save slot.
The game only has one save slot. What the fuck?
Yep. In an RPG with player decisions as well. There's multiple ways to do quests.
Haven't they said they're gonna update the game to give you extra save slots? I'm certain I saw an interview where they said that that's an update they're working on.
Possibly.
Fingers crossed they don't do the Metal Gear Survive thing where they charge you for another one.
I just had Metal Gear Survive in my head when you said that. Yeah, before you said that. I think the thing about here's the thing though, Dragon's Dogma 2. Do we think the negative press surrounding it means that when we talk about all the best games of the year when we come to the end of the year, it's gonna pretty much be no one's gonna be talking about this game. Like in a few months' time, we're just gonna completely forget this came out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna get massively eclipsed by another RPG later on.
I say already it is eclipsed by a number of other RPGs like Yakuza, Persona, Final Fantasy.
Like that, even that, like for example, that indie game that just came out, Children of the Sun. I feel like that's suddenly started getting a bit of an online presence that's getting positive feedback.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a vocal minority screaming about Dragon's Dogma, saying it's game of the year.
It feels like one of those games that was really hyped up, but when it came out, it just lost all interest.
Yeah, and I feel like Capcom's got a lot bigger stuff in their pipeline. Like we got Monster Hunter Wilds next year. That's going to
come on, Devil May Cry 6. Come on, Devil May Cry 6.
Before that, since I've joined in this one, come on, Mega Man 12 or X10. I don't care which one. Just do one of them.
Please, for the love of God, no. Calvin will end up streaming it. No.
No, God, please, Elliot, don't do that. I need more Mega Man in my life. It seems that's the thing for me. The most egregious thing.
You don't need any more Mega Man. I've seen you play 11.
The thing is, for me as well, like that's to me the most egregious thing Capcom has done. The fact that Mega Man is so little thought of in that company right now. He was the face that launched that company. And now they couldn't give a shit with what's happening to him.
Yeah, the biggest mishap to Mega Man is that he's currently a skin in Exoprimal.
And they released
that event going on.
And they put that mobile game on Steam.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably what's next for Capcom is probably Monster Hunter Wilds and probably another Resident Evil. We're due a Resident Evil by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get like another. Do you think we're gonna get another remake or another numbered game? Actually,
I think it's Resident Evil 9 next.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Which I mean, I think it's about time. And also, I'm gonna make the bet based on the way Village ended that that's the last one that's gonna be first person. They're going third person from now on with the first person mode saved for the VR mode.
You never know.
I think, judging by the way the fact the DLC and the update that went to 8, I think they're moving away from first person.
I mean, obviously, main thing I want now, Code Veronica remake.
Oh yes,
that's a must.
Yeah. Absolutely, we need a Code Veronica remake. I love the idea of a Code Veronica.
Oh, remake. At the very least, and this is probably very unlikely, a remake of Resi 1 in the current remake style.
Which was an April Fool's thing that some people fell for.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they did that.
No, because they retracted it so fast because genuine journalists were starting to believe it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I want that so bad.
So, yeah. We'll move on to your game now, Elliot. Rise of the Ronin.
Yay, Rise of the Ronin.
I will say, for my I'm gonna not criticize this game too much because I'm bad at it.
You know what? It's got for review score it has 76. For player score 8.6.
I think it's a worthy game. I think it's a very.
It's got a lot of enjoyment.
Would you agree with me? It's kind of a cross between Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a good comparison.
It's so Elliot, briefly. I'd say briefly explain, considering this is a brand new franchise. What exactly are you doing in this game?
Well, the main story is basically you're a warrior of a faction known as the Veiled Blade, who's sort of like and each warrior always travels with like another one. Very early into the game, your partner ends up getting taken in by the Americans, and now your quest is to like try and find them. All the while there's a bunch of other stuff in the story, like there's an anti-shogunate sort of quest line, there's a pro-shogunate quest line. It's kind of a lot of that stuff.
And it's mainly the open world is mainly centered around Yokohama in like the late.
At
first, yes, you get more,
around the halfway point. You go to Edo,
which was the ancient capital. Of Japan at the time.
Yeah.
Did you play this game in original Japanese or English dub?
I went with the English dub.
Yeah, so did I. I actually think the English language version is actually quite good.
It is good, but I can't tell if it's some Japanese voice actors doing the English voices, or if it's some English voice actors doing thicker Japanese accents.
I think it's more the former than the latter, judging from the cast list I saw.
Yeah, because the American and British characters. Yes, the Brits are in this. Oi oi. We are definitely voiced by people of those nationalities.
So I would make the which weapon combination did you go with? Because it gives you a bunch of weapons to sort of like. Which one did you do quite well with?
I dual wielded.
I tried dual wielding, wasn't very good of it. Went to a single katana.
Yeah, that's actually a problem with the game, which is that it doesn't entirely accommodate if you want to pick like one specific weapon, because it's kind of has a bit of a looter shooter idea of it, where enemies are always dropping weapons. A lot of them have like different properties and are like more powerful than the last. For a while, I had to swap to a single katana and completely shift my gameplay style, or like completely shift my stats, because no one was dropping it like any good dual wield weapons.
I also say I did find the skill tree a little confusing on what I was supposed to be like. I'll give you a prime example. Like, say Elden Ring. That game makes it very obvious if you're new to Souls-likes what sort of way you want to build your character, because it will say, here's these classes you're going to start with. If you want to keep going down this path, you want to be upping these stats. That's what you need, or this is the stats you need for that one. It's quite user-friendly. This one, it was kind of like, but I don't know. If I'm doing a dex build, do I want to amplify this? But I kind of want this ability, but is that going to affect my other thing?
I'll say now, I don't think the stats really mean anything.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed. I have no idea what the stats really mean in this one. You got to admit
the stats are more just in correlation to the skills you can unlock. Like, for example, I was going with the dex build because it was very highly recommended for people who wanted to use the twin blades. But I found all the melee fighting skills I could learn were in the strength bit. Meanwhile, that one was dex is more for bows and arrows and shurikens. I'm just like, well, what then? What's the point of the stats?
It's so bizarre how it handles the stats in this one. The open world as well. I think the open world's actually quite well handled, and
to an extent, there's a lot of empty space. Like in Ghost of Tsushima, for example, you'll find like quite a lot of objective markers and a lot of like collectibles in it. In Rise of the Ronin, you'll get like quite a bit of space where it's just like there's not really much to find. Like sometimes all the stuff will be on the edges of each sort of section of the area, and then in the middle will just be empty, as an example.
But I would also state Ghost of Tsushima is one of the best designed open world games of the last few years. It's been
it's one of my favorites. Ghost of Tsushima is fantastic. Yeah, this one pales in comparison to it.
Reese, have you played Ghost of Tsushima yet?
Yes, I've played a bit of it.
What did you think of that open world? Because we both really liked it, but I didn't.
I got the platinum for it.
Yeah, I super enjoyed it. It was really good, really varied.
I would also make the argument as well. I think Ghost of Tsushima, the way they handle the stats in that one, that kind of makes more sense on what you're doing. Like the skill tree you get in that.
Yeah, well, at the same time, they make it really easy because basically Ghost of Tsushima is... there are 4 stances. These trees make you better at each of these stances. Meanwhile, in Rise of the Ronin, it's just like, oh, here are all these multiple stances. How do you unlock them? We're not going to tell you.
I also felt
like I just randomly get these new stances, just like, okay, I don't know why I unlock this one.
I will be honest, but considering this is, do you know this is the Wulong Fallen Dynasty team also worked on this one?
Yeah.
It has a similar problem with that one, which is I don't think I like that whole Sekiro timing mechanic, and even then, it felt like Sekiro handled it better.
I do like the Sekiro timing thing. I mean, you know what I'm like. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm a glutton for punishment in games. I'm the kind of person who will complain, who will sort of write in my review if I don't think something is punishing enough.
Oh god, don't play the game I'm going to talk about next then.
Like and I do definitely think Sekiro did it better, but I do think this one did it better than. Actually, don't know if I did it better than Wulong. I'd say it's probably on par with it.
Yeah, I must be honest. I think aesthetically, and in terms of like the world design and the mythology and all that stuff around it, I think Wulong was more interesting.
Well, at the same time, this is definitely very much based in history. Meanwhile, Wulong was definitely a much more fantasy setting.
Yeah, Wulong's historical fantasy.
It was definitely more Bloodborne meets Three Kingdoms era China.
Yeah, so I think the thing for me though with the thing is we've been playing a game on stream that's set in Yokohama with like a dragon. Yeah. How do you think it compares with in terms of like design of Yokohama in this game compared to something like? I mean, obviously they're very different, but it is the same city they're interpreting.
Yeah, to that point, it's impossible to say.
Okay.
Like, because both settings are massively different. You can't compare one to the other.
Well, okay, we'll go back to Ghost of Tsushima for a second. Ghost of Tsushima, you don't really go to any big cities in that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's one big city in Rise of Ronin.
I must also be honest. I didn't really like using things like the hook shot. I didn't find that as innovative as I think they thought it was going to be.
No, I enjoyed using it. I enjoy using it. I wish there were like more places where I could have done it, like to get up certain buildings or something like that. But I still enjoyed using it.
Okay, well that's why I say Elliot's opinion matters more than mine because he played more of it and he was much better at the game. So
yeah.
What I didn't also like was mounted combat. Is that just because I'm bad at it, or is there an issue with the mounted combat in this game?
I haven't really done much mounted combat, if I'm being honest. It's not great though. I will definitely give you that. I just use a horse to like go from place to place. I never really fought on it.
And even then, I found it quite difficult to like jump off the horse or get it to do. It felt a lot more temperamental than say the horse you get in Tsushima.
No, I never really found. Wait, how did you struggle getting off the horse?
I just kept seeming to press the wrong button or something, and it would. And I would...
You literally just press that. Oh wait, am I holding? Yeah, I am holding the right one. You literally just press the left thumbstick.
Yeah, that's the problem I have. I much prefer that be a trigger button or one of the face buttons. I think that does not feel as innovative to me. But again,
you're just screaming. I'm more used to it than this way. They should do it this way because I'm more used to it.
But and yes, and that's why I said at the start of this thing, Elliot's opinions definitely matters more than mine on this one.
I mean, in all fairness, I think it might just be because I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring before. I do press the down trigger to get off, which in all fairness, that's where I put the horse whistle, so you can just pick that to go off sometimes.
I think it's just though and again, Elden Ring, I felt the mounted combat in that is excellent, so it made some of those boss fights really damn interesting.
Well, yeah.
But then again, this is not an apples to apples game, even though there's a lot of Souls-like elements in Rise of the Ronin, which I actually think I handled quite well.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's like there are certain like sort of checkpoints, I guess, that you can sort of light up. You get all your healing back and that kind of as like a checkpoint. Sometimes that it doesn't work like that. You do just get a checkpoint like before fights. Sometimes like just before you're going to go into an enemy base or something like that in the overworld, for example.
Can I also add as well, I did like the fact that at bonfires equivalents, you can turn the difficulty down, which I did use in the prologue because I couldn't beat the final prologue boss.
bitch.
That is how pathetic I am at this game.
I mean, I turned down the difficulty as well, but that's because I started on hard.
I started on normal. I had to turn it down to easy for the final boss of prologue.
Oh no, I beat the first boss easy. It was the bit after where I had to fight the fucking ninjas.
What about the master? When you fight the master, that was the one I had to turn the difficulty down for.
Oh, her? No, I didn't even get to her. But in hard mode. After that, in normal mode, yeah, she was fine.
So, okay. So, Rise of the Ronin. I think we've. How do we think this does though as like a PlayStation exclusive? Because I always found it a bit weird that PlayStation went out of their way to get a deal for exclusivity, for at least I don't know if it's timed exclusivity or if they've got it permanently.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by that because I feel like the problem with this being on PlayStation, people are going to be heavily comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima, which I feel like it wouldn't have had as much of if it came onto Steam and Xbox as well.
Well, let's say, for example, I think like an Xbox, it would have been great for that platform because it would have been like, okay, well, you don't have Ghost of Tsushima, but you have this game that's quite similar to it.
Maybe they thought like that. Maybe that was a mindset they had with Wulong.
Oh yeah, but okay. Well, let's go with, say, for example, when this comes to PC, do we think this will do quite well on Steam, for example?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Because this isn't like a massively high-profile game. It's definitely more of a niche one. Like I would say, it's already at this res because it had gotten overshadowed by Dragon's Dogma 2.
I think it's also getting overshadowed by Stellar Blade as well. If we talk of its own internal market, I'm wondering. I'm wondering how many people passed up Rise of the Ronin to buy Stellar Blade.
I feel like there's going to be quite a few.
And I'll be honest, in terms of the parry mechanics in Stellar Blade, because I've now played the demo for that, I think Stellar Blade does it better.
Well, it's because with Stellar Blade, it's just the block mechanic from Sekiro. Meanwhile, in Rise of the Ronin, there's like it has its own parry button.
Oh my god!
Which I do like. I don't mind that as a fact, but it's definitely more convenient to just have the block be a parry.
And I did that. I love doing that thing where you teleport. To the back of the characters when they at the last minute when they're doing an attack. Very Bayonetta of you. But
yeah,
we'll talk about Stellar Blade when we do our next one of these, because because Elliot's going to be playing it and it does look stunning.
It is a lot. It is a lot of fun. It's hard as nails, but fuck me, it's fun.
I will say as well, Reese, I would probably end up talking about Planet Zoo Console Edition.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of kind things to say about it.
That's interesting.
Because I don't like the control. I don't like playing this with a PlayStation controller. This is made for a keyboard and mouse. Also, they don't make it fucking clear in the tutorials. Okay, I had to click on the P foul to know it's upset. I already know that. Just let me buy the fucking P foul. Let's save that for next month. So I feel like though Rise of the Ronin, I feel like it's going to be one of those forgotten PlayStation exclusives, like something like I don't think it's going to be as reviled as something like. It's not going to be reviled like something like the Order 1866.
But it's probably going to be maybe seen like a bit like Ghostwire Tokyo
or a Concrete Genie or something like that. Yeah.
I feel like this game is going to be enjoyed going to be remembered by those who played it, but it's definitely going to be overshadowed as the months go on.
I must be honest, out of the 3 games that came out on March 22nd, this was the one I sounded people talking about the least.
Yeah, I feel like, I feel like this might be on like a couple top 10 games of the year. Or at the very least, it'll be like honorable mentions. I don't see anyone remembering this game negatively.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a few games coming out this year that could really overshadow it, like, say, Hollow Knight Silk Song when that comes out, or...
if that comes out.
I'm standing by. Next 3 to 6 months, we'll see it.
You've been saying that for the last 7 years.
No, we're seeing it in June. I don't know when it's going to release, but it will release in the next 3 to 6 months.
Cope.
I'm gonna put. I'll put money on it right now. I will genuinely put £100 on it right now. Hollow Knight Silk Song comes out in the next 3 to 6 months.
Do we have to put money down?
So when's 6 months from now?
October.
October. Yeah. So I believe it will come out by October 31st.
No.
Okay, we'll come to that one. At very latest, it will be November. But I think since that rating was submitted in February, it's coming out in the next 3 to 6 months.
Oh, you mean like that? You mean like that Banjo-Kazooie remake you keep going on about?
That doesn't have a rating yet. So apparently that's way earlier in development than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's not even in the brainstorming section. It exists exclusively in Calvin's imagination.
It's been greenlit.
I doubt it.
So let's move on to my game then. Princess Peach Showtime, Switch exclusive. I'm the only one who played it. I don't think either of you did.
I played 20 minutes of it.
Which costumes did you use?
I got up to the first Kung Fu one.
Oh, that one's quite good. I quite like the Kung Fu one. But I will say, Princess Peach Showtime, I played all 3 of these. This one was my favourite of the bunch.
Oh, really?
I really like Princess Peach Showtime. I think this is one of those smaller Nintendo games that they made on the 3DS that I wish they'd make more of to sort of palatability. And it was also, after playing things like Unicorn Overlord and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which were all these really long games, I was like, oh, thank God, a short game I can finish in about 10 hours.
I will be honest, I feel like this should have been held back for the next Switch console. It doesn't run well.
No, I will freely admit it has performance issues. Particularly
I don't remember there being a single cutscene that didn't lag.
No, the cutscenes are awful in this one. They lag terrible. Gameplay's fine. I didn't notice too many frame drops when that was done. The thing for me is, do you know the game this reminds? It's like you're playing this like these short plays in this in this house, and essentially the levels are designed to be like plays in terms of like the different costume get-ups. You get 30 levels, free with each costume. Which ones did you like, Elliot?
I think I like the swordsman one most.
I think I like the ice dancer one the most. That one, those levels were always really good.
Again, I only did like 2.
I wasn't a big fan of Detective Peach, weirdly. Those levels I thought were a bit I do find it interesting that they managed to get so much out of just 2 buttons, and they managed to make it feel versatile each time.
Very versatile.
I also, do you know what this game reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of the first Luigi's Mansion, in that sense of it's a proof of concept, and when this does well, we can then extend out the idea that we've had here. Like, people forget that first Luigi's Mansion is quite a bare bone game.
I mean, the first Luigi's Mansion was basically just a tech demo for the GameCube.
Whereas I feel like this one is okay, how do we do a Princess Peach game? Let's try this out. If it works, we can extend it out into a franchise. If not, well, at least we filled out a bit of the Switch's calendar year. I also like the fact that this is a game aimed at a market that's not normally catered to.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that Nintendo... I've got to give Nintendo credit for that one. I'm glad they've actually started making games that will cater to that market, or at least publishing games for that. Because they've published a couple of games for that market. Like they published DC Girls.
I feel like you should state what the market is.
Like small children and particularly small girls. I'd say this is but I think it's got a rather universal appeal to it. Like I really like this game. At the end of the day, I didn't think there was anything extraordinary. I gave it 7.5 in my review. Like I said, there's a really good idea here. If we extend on this idea,
I feel like in that case, out of the 3 of us, I'm definitely going to be rating my game the highest.
Sounds like it.
Currently, it's like I'm going to say in the high 7s, low 8s.
The thing is, I wanted to give this an 8 out of 10, but I thought, no, I'm sorry, I cannot give this an 8 out of 10. This is nothing extraordinary.
Yeah.
This is I would have to say, no, that is I'm disingenuous if I say this was close to the same score I gave Persona 3 Reload. I think the problem I have with Princess Peach Showtime is probably that there's not much of a post game.
I'd like to know, this game does have the lowest score for critics.
What has it got?
74.
Okay, that's about right.
Though for users, 7.8.
I think that's about right. I think that's about the right score you give this game. It's nothing extraordinary, but as a small Switch game to pad out the sort of the running order till we get to Switch 2, it's pretty good. I will say
mine's the highest in terms of user scores. Yay!
I will say, out of the 3 games Nintendo's released this year so far, I wouldn't say this one's the best one they've done. I still think Another Code was better. I've actually finally got around to playing that because I've had a bit.
When did you get to the review for that one?
Yeah, I got caught up with going to do Pokemon, so I thought I'd finally go around and play it, and it's really good. Like
this is Calvin's live admission that he skives work for Pikachu.
Fans
of the show already know that, Elliot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what should we call it? I am definitely looking forward to watching the World Championships on my birthday weekend.
I'm not.
I am, because it means all of Axie gets a free trip to Hawaii, courtesy of Cal.
We are not going to the World Championships. I didn't qualify. Here's the thing, though. What do we think? Do we think that this is something Nintendo should look at and say, let's do more of this? Like, were you sold on the idea of this could be extended out?
I'd say so.
Yeah, because there's no harm in diversifying your audience.
And even more, having it like that's another franchise they can go to. It's like, okay, we had a Luigi's Mansion, let's make a Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah.
Again, they definitely need to make sure the game's actually running properly this time, because this game really shows the Switch's age.
What about the play aesthetic? The idea of, because it's like the second or third time they've done this in the Mario series, with the whole it's set in a play.
Yeah.
Wait, third?
Yeah, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Super Mario 3.
Yeah, Thousand Year Door.
Super Mario Bros. 3, and now this. Yeah, because about do you? I mean,
at least with this time, at the very least, as an in-world universe, it's a play.
Yeah. And they do a good explanation of all of it. I would also add, there's a really. I did actually like some of the cosmetic options you got for both Peach and Sparkle. Those
from the ones I saw, I didn't really.
You get better ones when you beat the bosses, and when you complete, and when you get some of the and when you if you get certain when you meet Mr. Ribbon in every level, if you rescue him in each level, he'll give you really good cosmetics.
Don't you get a Wario costume?
You do get a Wario one later.
War Peach exists, bitches!
Do you know the thing I actually find annoying about this, actually? I think this is a perfect chance for them to have amiibo functionality, and they haven't done it.
Yeah, I was thinking that, actually. They haven't had any amiibos. I think they have really started slowed down with amiibos, though.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 released with each game. So there was 2 for Xenoblade. There was only 3 for Splatoon 3. There was 3 for Tears of the Kingdom, but they spread out the release of those. So it looks like we're going to get 1 or 2 at a time. But my point is, there's for example, let's say that Wario Peach costume. Let's say you can get it by beating the boss, or if you want it early, you can scan a Wario amiibo.
Yeah, because there's no harm in that, because it's not like the costumes give you abilities or anything.
Yeah,
that's what they did with Yoshi's Epic Yarn on the Wii U. That was you could scan in almost any amiibo.
I should say Woolly World, because Epic Yarn was Kirby.
Yeah, Woolly World, that's it.
Yeah, Woolly World had great amiibo functionality, but that's what I think. I feel like they could have made I also feel like they could have made a new amiibo for this, with the new Peach design and Sparkle being there.
Yeah, easily.
I think that would have been cool. I mean, I'm not. I mean, obviously, I'm obsessed with amiibo collecting, so it would only reward people like me. But I kind of.
I mean, you have a fucking virgin wall, Calvin.
I'm probably gonna have more. The rest of them are on the way, apparently.
Sad man.
I am, but I got the clout to back it up.
What clout?
Axie's bank accounts, that clout.
There's I feel so. I mean, I didn't mean for this to turn into a conversation about what Nintendo's going to do with Amiibo going forward, so we'll drop it there.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be a subject for another day, but maybe the sad day where they say, yeah, we're not doing any more Amiibo. But do you think if they ever drop Amiibo, they're going to just say, they're not even going to announce it, it's just going to sort of happen?
Yeah, just going to fizzle out.
Like, I actually asked a few people, do you reckon when the Switch 2 comes out, it's going to have that NFC reader that means that Amiibo are still going to function for backwards compatibility? And no one can really give a straight answer on that one. So there's one more game before we move into our news item topic. I did the early access.
It was?
Yeah, I did the early access of Ender Nocturne, the sequel to Ender Lilies. That went on early access, and I'll keep this brief, but it looks like they took everything that was really good about Ender Lilies and made it better.
Oh.
It's, for one thing, you know how when we got to the equivalent of the bonfires in that one, the spirits just sort of hang around? They now will have conversations with you at certain points. So, like, you have more interaction and more character with these guys after you save them. They also gone for a more steampunk aesthetic this time, as opposed, because it's, instead of spirits, it's homunculi that you're fighting. But aesthetically, the game looks still gorgeous. I did everything that was possible to do before it cuts to a point and says early access is done now. You're gonna have to wait for the full release.
Yeah, I feel like you should have made it a demo instead of early access.
It basically is. It really is just. It's just a demo, really. But obviously, it's going to carry over to the main game. I will say as well, I like the character this time has more interaction with the world. This time, he actually has dialogue. So oh no, it's not called. I can't remember. It's called. I think it's actually called. But man, I'm really looking forward to playing this fully when it's out. The weapons are much improved this time. You actually get upgrades for the weapon. Not only do you get upgrades for the weapons, you actually can change weapons with each of the homunculi. So there's a lot of a different upgrading that you could do, which you couldn't do last time as much. I mean, the main one is basically the Umbral Knight from the first game, but it's really well handled. I think it's going to be a real challenger for all the really great indie games that are coming out this year.
In other words, be prepared for another really painful stream when the game comes out.
Actually, here's an interesting thing about a couple of things. One, I don't think it's going to be as painful because I think this game is way fucking easier than Ender Lilies.
That's...
However, I don't know what difficulty I was playing it at, because there is a difficulty select in the sort of like the benches, the bonfire equivalents. There is a difficulty, but it doesn't let you change the difficulty in the early access version. So that's I find interesting. So I could have been playing the game on easy mode for all I know, because it's locked into easy mode. But I don't know, because again, difficulty select is not an option in early access. I found that really weird. That's something you hold off for the full release. So, I mean, obviously, we'll come to the subject again when it gets the full release, but I thought I'd give my little thoughts on... I wanted to give my thoughts on Children of the Sun, since that is a full release now. But I downloaded it last night, but it's been a power cut on my street, so I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Although I think it's fixed now.
How often do you get power cuts? I swear you get them very frequently.
I've only had I had one or two when I was living in my old address, and my new address I've had 2 since I moved in.
Mate, I haven't been in power cuts since fucking high school.
Well, this one was particularly big because when I got up this morning, they had dug up the bloody road to fix it.
I've had one of those ones.
There's
That was a fun weekend.
the good news is the power cut actually started about 11 o'clock last night, and it's only just been fixed when I went to, but I wanted to make sure, the reason, hence why I'm recording in a different location, I wanted to make sure there's no power cuts that happen while we're recording. So the subject I want to talk about today is...
Actually, just quickly, should we talk about the Stellar Blade demo?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Stellar Blade demo.
As that came out.
Did you play Stellar Blade?
I mean, if we're talking about the early access of a game that only you care about, we might as well talk about something that people are talking about.
So, Reese, did you play the Stellar Blade demo?
Yes, I played part of it.
I played the full thing. Elliot, I'm assuming you playing the full thing?
I played the full thing.
I'm glad to say Dare carries over because I don't want to fight that first boss again.
I do. It was fun. I loved it.
It's... I didn't spot how you changed the aesthetics of the character. I think that's something the same for the full release.
I feel like it's something you're going to be getting later on.
Because you can do that when the full game release happens. But wow, does it look... Stellar Blade feels like a really cool game to play.
Yeah. I mean, I was expecting it to be like Bayonetta. Wasn't it also expected to have like Souls-like mechanics in as well?
Yeah, I was expecting the combat to be a lot faster pace.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. I still think it was great.
Of course, yeah.
I think I was definitely not expecting it to be as methodical as it is. I was definitely more expecting Devil May Cry Bayonetta.
Yeah.
But that's not a complaint, it's just an observation. The world design's actually quite good as well. I think they take full advantage of the PS5 to deliver this very interesting looking world.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best looking games of the year so far, I'd say.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I will that actually being said, in regards to the way Stellar Blade looks, how do we feel about this whole thing of it being the fact it's not coming, it's Xbox release either a while off or it's not even going to come to Xbox because Sony put a lot of money out to get it to be an exclusive after it was announced to be coming to Xbox? That feels a bit egregious to me.
I wouldn't be as upset about it if like it wasn't coming, if they hadn't announced it was coming to Xbox originally. But at the same time, I also think, well, they did do that. Didn't they do that with Redfall as well? Or was that always advertised as an Xbox exclusive?
That was always advertised as an Xbox exclusive. It was never advertised. There was a PlayStation version in development. It was scrapped.
I'll say we lucked out.
Yeah, we lucked out big and it's not coming now. They are not. Yeah. They are only bringing over the really good Xbox games to PlayStation. Hence why we're getting Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. Just oh god, we can't let them know we made the shit. Abort.
There's
joke's on you. We also have PCs.
So I mean, I reckon that eventually the exclusivity is going to expire on this, and we're going to get Stellar Blade on Xbox Series X.
Oh yeah,
I would hope so.
I would hope so because I really want them to experience the Xbox owners to experience this because this is a very, very interesting concept. I like the world design. I like the main character. I think some of the discourse around it online has been has not been great.
What is it? The whole Bayonetta-ishness, shall we say?
Yes, the Bayonetta-ish has received a lot of discussion.
Yeah, so much so the article on IGN France has been taken down.
Yeah, because IGN France did an article saying no woman looks like this, and they had to come out and say this is based on the director's wife. She's based on...
Oh, good God, they did it. IGN did a fucking Kotaku. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a question. How long until Kotaku write an article on this?
5, 4, 3. Actually, a better joke would have been, when's the game releasing?
Yeah.
One thing I do really love about it, though, is that...
Put a pin on it here, so we'll come back to it, so we can just have Alex saying, I fucking told you.
The thing I kind of love about this game is that there is a skin-colored suit that you can wear, but if you do, it majorly increases the difficulty. So holiness leads to punishment.
That should be.
But you know what? That's kind of that's something I'm not really. That's kind of bad for me because I want to play the game in in high difficulty, but I don't want to wear the skin suit.
Can
I'm
we
the opposite end of the spectrum here.
can we agree that Elliot is this channel's equivalent of Mr. Masochist from Yakuza Like a Dragon?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. Except I very much feel the pain, and I love it.
Shall we? On that note, I
Yeah.
was I think the one thing I will say though is obviously we have to wait and judge this thing when we get the full release because we've only played 2 hours of the game.
Yeah.
But I find it very promising what we've played so far. It's I will say, Elliot, I didn't remind me a lot of the game. It really reminded me of a little bit, and I don't know if you agree with me. Code Vein,
No, I see that actually. Yeah.
especially the way like side quests are handled and stuff like that. I definitely got a lot of Code Vein vibes off it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And that's definitely not a complaint. Code Vein's really good.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like no, non-FromSoft Souls like my favorite is Lies of P now. It was definitely my favorite for Goodwill though.
Yeah, I think Lies of P and Code Vein, those are two very good if you want a Souls like, but you don't want to buy a FromSoft game.
Everyone play Code Vein. It's awesome.
I think it's on PlayStation Plus now. It's not on Xbox Game Pass anymore. It's left Game Pass.
Yeah.
I will. So let's move on to. I think let's move on now. We'll talk about the main news item I wanted to talk about is the one that came up recently, which is Hellblade 2 got its previews, and they were overwhelmingly very positive for the game. Now the big thing that people were talking about was the fact on Xbox Series X and S, this game will only run at a locked 30 FPS. Now, this will not be the case on PC. It will run more on that one. And the reason the developers when interviewed, the reason given was they wanted 30 FPS to give that visuals for a cinematic experience, which is obviously a lie. This is definitely a decision.
I mean, you don't know really how much are you sacrificing, how much of the visuals are you sacrificing for that 60 FPS.
That's a good point. We don't. There's a lot of information that we're not out there, but from what I've heard from game developers, they have said that cinematic thing is an excuse. They either tried to get this thing running at 60 FPS and it couldn't get it done on the console, or it was always planned from the start it was going to be 30 FPS. But I don't get why they didn't give you an option for like 40 FPS, for example, because 40 FPS, some games do that. So, Elliot, this obviously isn't going to affect you because you're going to play the PC version. I'm going to play the Xbox version to see is that frame. How do you guys feel about frame rates? Like, are you one of those people who says I cannot play a game at 30 FPS?
It depends on the game.
I agree with that statement.
Like, for example, just to give 2 examples, I never got the Persona 5 PS5 version because I thought the one in change is I was going to have higher FPS, which is a turn-based RPG, so it doesn't really mean that. But on the other side, I've started to struggle every time I go back to Bloodborne now because I've been spoiled by Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, which have had 60 FPS, and going back to that 30 is sort of a hindrance for me.
Oh, that's really interesting, that.
Yeah, because you're a big proponent for Bloodborne.
I still am. Bloodborne is still a game I absolutely love, and now, I agree with a lot of people. Release a 60 FPS patch.
Can I ask, actually, there's another example I want to give of a game where I thought it worked fine with 30 FPS, even when there were 60 FPS versions out. And that was one that I know Reese played a lot of, Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, because that is really well adapted for the Switch at 30 FPS.
Yeah, and the other thing is that game's built around being functional at 30 FPS. Like, I think if the game's built around being functional at 30 FPS, it can be fine. Like, Bloodborne to me feels like it's built around 30 FPS.
Yeah.
Whereas, say, Demon Souls on PS5, that is not built around being 30 FPS. So when you play that game in visual fidelity mode, it's fucking unplayable.
Yeah.
Well, you say that. I played the original PS3 version of the game,
Yeah, but again,
which I believe that runs at like 30 FPS.
Yeah, but again, that game is built around 30 FPS, so it functions.
Yeah.
The Demon Souls remake is built around being at 60 FPS. So it doesn't feel like... So if when you're playing that game at 60 FPS for most of the time, when you try to go and play in 30 FPS because you want to see how good the graphics are, it never quite feels like it's working.
Again, though, I feel like that's kind of the same case for me with Bloodborne. You get so used to that 60 FPS, going back to 30 is a major step down. Like, so I don't think it's not that the game doesn't work at 30. It's just like you're used to 60.
But I also wonder, with this whole thing, are we at a stage where we're so obsessed with frame rate we're not thinking about, well, how is it used rather than what exactly the frame rate is?
I definitely say so, because we also need to have the thought of how much again, as I said before, how much are you sacrificing for like a frame rate. Let's look at Final Fantasy Rebirth, for example.
Yeah, that was a major sacrifice to get that 60 FPS working. Reese, you played the game mostly in that mode, didn't you? Or did you play at 30?
I try sections out at 30 because when you finish the game, you've got chapter select, so you go back like in 16 has, and it is really tough to play at 30 FPS. I found.
Yeah, no, because the game starts you at 30 FPS in that prologue bit, and it's really hard to do. And I was like, oh my god, I am gonna swap this to 60 the first chance I get.
Yeah.
There's I will get. I found it interesting though. That I found a bit of a hypocrisy online with the PlayStation fans saying it was okay to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in 30 FPS when they were shitting on Starfield being only 30 FPS on Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
When that came out, I was like, okay, you can't now say that 4K 30 is good for this game, but it's not good for Starfield.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Which incidentally, again, Starfield is a game, and most of Bethesda games are built around that frame rate, which is good because the frame rate's going to fluctuate badly. It's even Starfield; it actually has a fluctuation issues. It also brings me on to my next point, which is, do we think Xbox tax is real? Because I've saw that go online a lot between the way that Hellblade was reported, and the fact that it also came up with Noisy Pixel's review of the PS5 version of Hi-Fi Rush, because Noisy Pixel gave the Xbox version 9 out of 10. They gave 9.5 to the PS5 version. Now, I should say, Noisy Pixel did clarify there were different reviewers for each game, so these were reviewed independently.
Yeah.
What do we think about the whole Xbox tax thing? Because we've got to balance that out as well with the fact that there's been very few Xbox first-party games nominated at the Game Awards, for example.
I don't really... I think a lot of that might just be Xbox players are coping a lot.
But it's yeah, and I mean, there hasn't been an Xbox game that has really proper excited people. Like, let's have a look at how, like, Xbox has had very few first-party games break the 90 throughout their entire life. They've had very few games break the 90. Like, what has done it? Forza Horizon 5, Gears of War 3.
Some of the Halos, I think, got 90s, didn't they?
No, I don't think any of the Halos got 90.
Oh, really?
I think Halo 3 got 90. But
Halo Master Chief Collection. Yeah, Halo 3 got 90. Halo Reach got 91. The original Halo got 97.
Oh yeah,
Halo 2's 95.
So the Halo.
A lot of Halo games have got 90.
Gears of, I think, if you don't count Forza Horizon 5, I think the last one Xbox first party game that got a 90 plus was Gears of War 3.
But even then, all the most of the Halo games still have like are still in the 80s, with Halo Wars 2 being 79. Ironically enough, the lowest scoring Halo thing is a TV show, which has 61.
Well deserved.
I was surprised to start high still.
So, I mean, here's the thing. You guys are not really invested in Xbox in a way that, say, I am, for example.
Yeah.
What would
It's because I can play everything on PC.
But here's the thing. But even then, do you think, what would it take for you to say, okay, Xbox are doing something very interesting and innovative here?
Again, I have a PC. I'm good. I can get everything up on Xbox on here.
Yeah, so let's say, for example, like, let's look at their first party release of the year. How many of these are you excited to play on PC, Elliot? They've got coming up Hellblade 2. We've got Ara City Untold, which is only on PC. That's the Civ clone they're making.
Yeah.
We have Avowed, which is that Elder Scrolls clone that's been done by Obsidian, the Outer Worlds team, and you got Indiana Jones. And let's add Call of Duty into that mix, because there's bound to be I think there's Call of Duty. I think it's called Gulf War, the new one.
No idea.
Gulf War?
Yeah, Gulf
War.
War.
We're playing fucking golf now?
No, as in the Gulf.
We got a Call of Duty. We got Call of Duty golf. How long until we get like fucking Call of Duty swimming team or something like that? I don't know.
I mean,
the DLC is going to be bowling. We're going to have Call of Duty sports.
So let's add Forza Horizon 6 into that mix. Let's say, for example, that's something that Xbox show in their showcase. We got Forza Horizon 6 there. How many of those would you be excited to be getting for your PC, Elliot?
Probably only Hellblade, and even then, there's not much excitement in this world. Just it seems interesting.
What about
maybe Forza, because I do like a good racing game, but that's about it.
And the Forza Horizon games are the open world ones, which are really damn interesting. If you can see it, you can drive to it.
Yeah.
I would actually. What about Indiana Jones? Does Indiana Jones excite you?
Do not give a shit.
You really do not. Even though it's been done by Machine Games, who make the Wolfenstein games.
Do not give a shit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You say that like I have played any of the Wolfenstein games.
Oh, that's so good, Elliot.
I know. I've heard Colossus is great. I've seen my friend play it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Reese, on that note, actually, what do you think of the look of the Indiana Jones game?
From what we saw, it looked okay. I'm going to wait for another trailer to really give my thoughts on it, though.
Yeah, so we're probably going to see that again in June when Xbox do their big showcase for the not E3.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, let's compare that with, say, what we're excited for with like Nintendo. Even without their new console, they've got a couple of really exciting games coming up. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake looks really good.
Which we're ordering a triple review on.
I'm interested to see how well Luigi's Mansion 2 looks in the Switch. I'm the only one who's excited for Endless Ocean out of the three of us.
Yeah.
And on PlayStation, we're looking at Stellar Blade, probably Concourse if they want to bring, unless that's been delayed to next year.
I think Sensuality is out later this year.
Sensuality's probably coming.
Yeah, looking forward to Sensuality. The anime was really good. Really looking forward to that one.
What about
It was.
oh god, I hope they now do a game of Go-Go Loser Ranger. Okay, here's a question. So, I mean, even with no first-party releases, they're looking. It does feel like we're in a situation though where Xbox can't win. Do you think those people are just pre-programmed to think, "Oh god, it's Xbox"?
I think possibly just due to repeatedly low expectations.
What were you going to say, Elliot?
I feel like it is definitely like just, again, Xbox fans trying to find excuses for why they're not doing as well as they think they should be.
I would also, though, add, there was that leaked email that came out recently with which Sarah Bond confirmed, which was that they are working on making sure backwards compatibility continues to the next generation. And even that didn't get great publicity because people were just saying, oh yeah, but you're going all digital, so it's not going to be as good. And it's still these games are still going forwards. So to me, that was where I was kind of like, well, what has Xbox got to do to win here? I would actually make the argument that this is their own fault, in the sense of they have never recovered from the terrible Xbox One launch.
Yeah.
That
E3 presentation really crippled them.
That E3 presentation just screwed them over, and they've never quite recovered since.
Yeah.
If Xbox ever do go complete third party, and I don't think they are, I think a lot of people were overreacting with those games going PlayStation way and then Nintendo way. But if they ever were to go third party, that I think would be the death nail point. We go back. You know how every documentary about Sega says the Saturn launch and that E3 was their death nail. This is that would be the death nail for them as a hardware manufacturer. That one moment right there, the fact the Price is Right showed up as the first thing on screen at E3. That was it. They were done.
Yeah.
And again, that's all the team there. They've got only themselves to blame. That was one of the most tone deaf ideas they ever had.
Yeah.
And again, it was a case of they never recovered from the fact no used games and no, which they did obviously pivot on, and the Kinect is mandatory.
Yeah.
I'd probably also say just how they're sort of trying to build themselves up as well as is a hindrance, because like you see Sony and Nintendo trying to make a bunch of in-house games. Meanwhile, Xbox's main strategy seems to be buying out the competition.
I am aware with the rumor mill that they are likely, in terms of announcement, we're likely going to see one of their in-house franchises have a big announcement in June. So I think that criticism is going to be somewhat savage. But you are right, Elliot, that let's look at the 2 games in the last few years that got nominated from Xbox first party for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. It was Psychonauts 2, which was made by Double Fine, and they purchased them mid-production of that. And The Outer Worlds, which was Obsidian, and again, they purchased them mid-production of The Outer Worlds. Those games were both released on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So it's weird to think most of their most successful games are not from the ground up games from Xbox Game Studios. They are games that they purchased. So
I mean also when you see Nintendo and Sony buying game companies, there's always ones that almost always there's ones that work with them quite often.
Yeah,
it's always just like, yeah, you've done a lot for us, we'll buy you out. How about that? The one exception I can think of is Bungie, maybe.
Yeah, and Sony now freely admit they overspent on that.
Yeah, and now, meanwhile, Xbox, they're buying so much of the big ones. You just think, okay, no, you're just getting desperate now.
So yeah, so for example, look at what the last purchase Nintendo made. They bought Next Level Games. It's like, I'm amazed you guys weren't already own Next Level Games. And it's again with Sony when they bought Blue Point Games. It's kind of like, wait, you didn't already own Blue Point? They've been making some of your best shit. Why would you not have got your checkbook out? But again, it's that whole thing of, if the company doesn't want to buy her, you can't purchase them. You just can't. It's like with my company, someone can't just come in and purchase the company, unbeknownst to me. A megacorp can't come in and purchase us. They have to get me and my mum to agree to sell the majority of the shares in the company to that company. They can't just come in and buy us without, say, or do what someone tried to do at Ubisoft a few years ago, which they actually try. I think it was it a Chinese team or it was a bunch of...
It was probably Tencent.
I think it was someone like Tencent. They tried to come in and buy shares of Ubisoft to do a takeover, and Ubisoft noticed in time and put a stop to it. So there are things in place for companies to do that. Do you think, though... Also, here's one thing about... The last thing I'll ask about Xbox, because we've gone on way too much about them. Do we think Game Pass is starting to become more of a hindrance in the fact it hasn't grown that much?
It's kind of a tough one to think about.
Because you unsubscribed from it, Elliot, for example.
Again, that's more just because I wasn't using it.
Do you think you would do what? There's a YouTuber I follow on I've called Modern Vintage Gamer, and he says what he does is he just keeps buying like a month of Game Pass every time there's something on there he wants. He buys a month, plays the thing he wants to play, so he gets it at a discount, and then he lets it lapse and then buys it again when there's the thing he actually wants to play. Do you think we're going to start seeing more of that going forward?
Not really. I mean, personally, I just likely buy the games on Steam.
Yeah, again, that's a. But for example,
because that way, it's also in case I want to play. Don't feel restricted by just having that month, but I can also replay it whenever I want without buying Xbox Game Pass again.
It does give me the sense though that I like finding something on there. I was like, I wouldn't have bought that, but the fact it's there means I'll give it a go. So, for example, there's an indie game called Botany Manor, which I thought if this gets a discount or goes on a subscription service, I'll try that out. But I have no real desire to go out and actually spend a lot of money right now to get it. And then it was on Game Pass day one, so I thought, okay, well here's my opportunity. I'll download that now and give it a try. Or Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I only tried that out because it went on PS Plus and Game Pass. I don't have much of a nostalgia for the first one, for the original game, but I heard some good things about this one, so I thought I'll give this one a go now. So I feel like we're going to come back to this subject again when we do our Professionally Unprofessional about the Xbox showcase, and there will obviously be some third-party stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
and of course, Elliot's now got a bit more of a, am I going to purchase that, because everything that it will be in that showcase will be coming to PC.
Yeah, so I will definitely be like, with a number of things, I will be considering it a bit more.
Yeah, and it'll be more asking Reese, if this comes to PlayStation, are you gonna do it? Do you actually, I just want to ask Reese in particular on this one. I'll get your opinion as well, Elliot. Do you think PlayStation people are way too close-minded to what the potential of Xbox is? Have they completely written it off?
I think the majority have, because there's still quite a bit of console war going on.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. It's been really annoying to sort of try and get around that, and people because there's legitimate criticisms against both companies. But
I don't know if as much they've written off Xbox completely, and more just the mindset that they can only afford one console.
Yeah,
considering the track record, it makes more sense to go with PlayStation.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These things are expensive luxury items, so you kind of have to pick a field and stick with it. And you don't want to think that the one you picked might not be as good as the other one. So we're definitely back next. We're probably going to be back next month. We got a bit of some of us are taking holidays, so it's going to affect the schedule slightly. But we will. So our next month, the big talking point is going to depend on when we get it out there, because I believe, Elliot, you're on holiday in the second Tuesday of May. Second Friday of May, I should say.
I don't. No, I'm away till the 10th.
Hang on a second.
Yes, I'm away from the 5th to the. I'm away from the 5th to the 10th, so it'll be the first Tuesday of the month I'm away for, not the second.
So on that basis, we'll record it on the 17th. Then, because that means we'll be there. So the subject matter at that point. When does Paper Mario come out again?
20. I think it's like the 23rd. Yeah, 23rd.
23rd of May. So
so it'll be for me. It'll be Celebrate in Sandland.
Yeah. So we're recording. So, celebrating Sandland on your front. We're going to talk console. We're going to talk Planet Zoo console edition for Reese.
Yep. Well, I get into a fight with Calvin.
I will play more of it. And get to it, because it sounds like you're actually really enjoying Planet Zoo console edition.
Yeah, it's not as good as Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster. I will admit the controls are a bit worse, but I'm always doing the story mode on it. It's been really fun.
I think I'm actually going to play it as soon as I'm done editing this. I can't play it on my home PlayStation 5 because of thank you BT for screwing up my internet, so PlayStation can't download anything at the minute. And I think on my end, it's probably going to be a bunch of the indie games. And when does Endless Ocean come out? I think Endless Ocean will come out on the 10th.
Give me a sec. Uh, 2nd of May.
2nd of May. So the subject is going to be Endless Ocean, Planet Zoo console edition, because I want to give Reese more time to play that. Elliot's going to talk about Sandland and Stellar Blade.
Woo! I'm actually really buzzing for those 2 games. I've been watching the Sandland anime. Sadly, we can't count for this one for this season because it came out on the 20th of March. I'm gonna say though, if I had done though, it would definitely. There's very light chance it would be my number 1 of the season.
Oh wow!
It's so good.
Prepare for wild cards, folks, and I will say. So I think we know 2 of the wild cards possibly already. We've got Bang Bang Braven and Sandland.
I don't know about that. Some of the stuff this season's been really good.
So can I? So anime in terms of like the schedule, Anime Amigos will be back on May the 3rd.
Yep, the day before Star Wars Day.
Day before Star Wars Day, and it's what else is happening on May the 4th? It's something else is releasing that I was. Something else is happening. Anyway, we'll get around to that point later. But so May the 3rd, and then on May the 17th, we'll be back with another professional. With all that being said,
may the thirst be with you, horny anime fans.
Thank you very much.
Especially with Stellar Blade coming out.
Oh yeah. You need to. You know, I forgot to tell. Was you said that horniness punishes the people on Stellar Blade. We need that for Xenoblade fans.
Yeah.
Don't go on Xenoblade Twitter with safe search off.
Joke's on you. I don't even go on Twitter. I'll go on Xenoblade Twitter.
Oh god, there's so many times where I just have to put under a caption, horny Xenofans, horny Xenofans. So we'll be back then. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night, folks.
Bye everyone.
Later.